Hello, Nerd League. Hello, No Man's Sky fans. Shout out to the NMS communities from the No Man's Sky Cafe and the No Man's Sky Amino Hub. You are listening to NMSisLife, a morning talk show for all things No Man's Sky. I'm Nerd Down Dylan, and with me is my friend and fellow host, DG Squared. Good morning, DG.
Greetings, travelers. How are you today?
So, there's been a lot going on. We had that interview with Sean Murray on Inside Xbox discussing No Man's Sky Next. There's a lot of speculation still. He did confirm a few things, multiplayer being one of those things, and he also hinted at PvP, player versus player. If anyone's not familiar with that term, that is, it's violence. It's players fighting other players. It's something that we're pretty sure we're going to see in No Man's Sky Next. And it's something that I think some of the fan base is ready to dive right into that stuff. And I think others are kind of worried that it may impact the way that they play No Man's Sky in a negative way. What are your thoughts, Deej, on PvP and No Man's Sky?
PvP. Okay, well, when the game first came out, that's what a lot of the craze was all about, and that's, I was expecting a lot of PvP or co-op gameplay. A lot of people were disappointed. In fact, I actually quite enjoyed the solitude and working around some of the different challenges that the game posed whenever we decided we did actually want to get together. PvP can be kind of scary, but I'm thinking about the size of the game itself. It's a pretty open universe, and there's a lot of galaxies out there. It's not like there's going to be a guy on every corner waiting for you. I think it's going to be fun, but it's going to always give you that element of fear from time to time. Wherever you travel in different sectors of the space, Euclid especially being the most popular and starting galaxy for everybody. So I think it's going to put a little bit of sort of fear and anxiousness. When you jump into space for the first time, certain modes like survival and permadeath might be kind of a little bit more of a challenge, right? Because it's not just pirates anymore that you have to deal with; they're actual real life pirates. But I have to think that Sean Murray and their vision of the game will do it right in terms of PvP. I don't think it's going to be just a horrible experience. I think it'll actually be quite fun. The co-op idea, I'm hoping, is going to be everything that I've always imagined it. Being able to take part in space combat battles and hanging out with your friends, seeing one another and their ships. I know myself included, I've always wanted to see other players' ships and them see mine. And they've introduced these player models, which they look really cool, and I'm really curious how it's going to look on screen.
Yeah, I think too, like you mentioned, like I know in the like before the game initially released, it was kind of something that players were expecting. I think they were expecting a PvP environment. So it's kind of funny how it's changed now that we're so used to the solitude of No Man's Sky, that it's almost like we forgot about those wants and desires for PvP, and now we're worried about them. You know what I mean?
Well, exactly, and keep in mind the core group of No Man's Sky is still the same people that are just as friendly and open and happy to be around you without turning around and shooting you in the face.
Yeah.
We're going to get some new people that are playing the game for the first time, and they have these expectations, much like at the beginning of the game. For the serious players who truly love the game, well, they got a bit of a grind to get to a level where we're all already at. Mm-hmm. And a lot of those new players just aren't going to make it. They may have these great visions, and great. I'm happy for them. I'm really happy for anybody who's got a great vision for a game, to be able to do something in the game grand. But I think if somebody is getting into a game just to be a troll, they've got a long grind ahead of them.
I think so too, and I think I don't know how it'll be implemented either. Like I don't know if it will be something that's just like I wonder if there will be like PvE servers or PvP servers. Maybe a way to opt out of PvP altogether. Who knows? So I mean, for the people that are nervous for it, I think it'll be fine. Like I don't think Hello Games is going to break the game at this point. Whatever
No.
they add seems to work every time they add something that's a drastic change to the game. And I think this is an exciting
right.
thing to look forward to.
Well, sure. I mean, as they've always said, or sorry, as a lot of the critics have always said, oh, it's easy to throw multiplayer in a game, right? Well, they've worked on it for the last 2 years, so they've obviously done something in a way that works with the game that is currently so loved, right? By implementing it in the way that these critics are suggesting would literally just ruin the game, and would drive away all of the fans that have been with the game for 2 years. I can't imagine that HG would be willing to do that, and I don't think that they would have spent as much time as they have putting it together to make it all work.
Yeah.
For it to be that bad. I think it's going to be fantastic. We just don't know what it is and to what extent. And that's the beauty of HG, is that when they drop it, everything goes crazy in the No Man's Sky world, and everyone's going around learning new things and figuring out new stuff. This will be no different. It'll be fantastic and glorious, and probably a little heartbreaking at the same time, as there's usually something along the lines like a galaxy reset, or your fleet is no longer decent.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how many times I've had to repurchase a whole new fleet of S-class ships or whatever, just to move along with the current way the game is moving. That's fine. I kind of like buying ships anyway, but there's always a hiccup along the way, and bug fixes. I know there's a lot of people that are suffering from horrible bugs. I really hope that gets addressed. Specifically, the game save issue. It crops up in a lot of players.
Yeah, it's still going on. Eh?
Yeah, and it doesn't happen at the beginning. It sort of creeps in there, and then all of a sudden it starts getting worse and worse until the point where you can't play. And that's just horrible. I've had it start to happen. I can't imagine not being able to play my game at all.
Oh yeah.
That's just horrible. And some players, they find a way around it best they can, and find ways of enjoying the game. I mean, what does that say about the love of the game to HG?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If there's a will, there's a way.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know. I mean, we always find ways, right? We found a way to be multiplayer before it even was a thing.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, and back to multiplayer, like I think a lot of the things that players are mostly worried about is games like Ark or games like Rust, where you start the game and it's just chaos. But like you mentioned earlier, the game is so big. Like I don't know if we're gonna run into just random players. There's obviously a way to join your friends with portals and things like that. But we play the game all the time, and I still don't come across players' discoveries like constantly. It's a rare occasion. I wonder if that's a sign of other player activity, how rare it'll be to randomly come across another player, or if they're just going to be all over the place and smashing your bases down, or trying to steal your thamium, or what.
Yeah, I think it'll be somewhat localized to civilizations and hubs, mainly because they're groups of people who have an advertised web page, Amino, Facebook, whatever social media outlet that they're on, right? So if somebody can find a portal address to any one of those, and obviously they're going to want to try and attack it. A single player poses no challenge, I guess, really. So I can sort of see as single players or nomadic type players like yourself and myself probably aren't much of a threat, or will be under much of a threat. I've started to notice, we've seen all kinds of terrorist videos pop up out of the woodwork here and there, and they always seem to target the hubs.
Yeah.
And public, somebody who's out there publicly streaming or something.
Yeah.
Things like that is just kind of. I think that's why they're targeted, because they're the only ones who can be targeted.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to be too much of a problem. You look at the numbers that a lot of those hubs and civilizations have. They'll probably want to defend their territory should anybody come knocking. So
absolutely,
we'll see. We'll see what happens. The
other thing too that I remember Sean Murray mentioned was with the building and building with your friends. He said that you could build across planets and actually build colonies. So
that sounds exciting.
Yeah, to me that sounds like these places like the hubs joining forces. You know what I mean? And I would have that feeling of, if you guys want a PvP and you want to troll me or you want to attack us, bring it on, because there's such a strong alliance for players to be a part of that. It just makes it fun and exciting, really.
It would be. It'd be interesting if there was a server of just that, of a multiplayer PvP server, and anybody who's willing to build up a sector and have it a place to call your castle and have to defend it or attack others. That might be an interesting way of going. I'm not sure what the vision is that HG has, but interesting to say the least. It would be definitely a well-controlled version of PvP where you have an option of going into that space and doing such things, creating a castle to defend, or a region or something, a city. It sounds like cities could be a very possible thing with being able to build with your friends on a single planet.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to know what the build limits are and how far they've increased them.
The other thing too that I'm hoping to see, and you often see in games that are wide open multiplayer that feature PvP and team tactics, is guilds and groups and things like that. And we're already starting to see people trying to put together organizations, whether it's a trading guild or an explorers guild or pirates. You're starting to see people already getting excited for groups. And the other thing too with PvP is I think a lot of people want to be bodyguards, or they want to join like some type of policing force where, if there is a problem, if someone is getting harassed, members of the No Man's Sky community can be called upon and kind of save their bacon, Oh,
exactly. We're starting to see a lot of that already. Different hubs creating defense forces, to defend their hubs against opposing attackers and so on. I know of one group, they call themselves the United Peacekeepers Alliance,
yes,
or UPA. I've been allowed to speak with them about what it is they actually do, because I've asked these questions. I'm not a part of this group, and I don't really even know who's in it. To be honest with you, nobody does. It's quite an interesting group. They're a cloaked crisis mobility unit. Really, nobody joins. They sort of choose you if they want you, but I think it's just a couple of people that are, they do investigative services, right? So there was an issue with, what was it, the consortium, or a player by the name of Tempest, and he was terrorizing and putting videos and stuff out, and they sort of found out who this person was and really, told the group that were being victimized who it was, and they dealt with it in their own little way. They're not necessarily a policing force. They're into intel, restoration assistance, and helping with non-consensual attacks, right? So, like, say if somebody attacks your hub and you don't like what they've done, what are you supposed to do, right? You can try and go to war to them if you find them, or whatever. This group is sort of there to try and help find out who did it and help you fix things up in the aftermath, and really just find out who that person is and let that hub deal with it in their own way. If they want to contract out bounty hunters or something like that, that's up to them. But the UPA isn't about policing; they're just about information, intel, trying to help others instead of attacking
that's
others.
Incredible.
Yeah, right. And there's a way you can get a hold of them, right? Any hub or civilization can apply to be protected. You can contact the representative of the UPA, is Lily Hop, right, at Cafe Amino, or you can DM her on Twitter at NMS Cafe. If you've got a group that you want to be a part of this and be into being protected under a great umbrella of people who can help out, and rebuild, and just get you back to where you wanted to be again after any attack or something like that. Or even if you're just being terrorized, right? You got to make some things stop if it's too much. Maybe people don't realize it's just role play.
Yeah.
Right? If it's just role play, I mean, sure. But, it's not my thing, but a lot of people do like it. If you don't tell somebody it's role play, then they might be a little bit upset about that.
Yeah.
So, anyways, you can contact her and let them know what information that you have. They have a screening process, right, that allows them to let you in so that they can help you and go where they need to go to give you the assistance that you require. So that's the UPA.
It sounds like like the Secret Service of No Man's Sky.
It does kind of sound like it, or maybe yeah, well, I don't know. It kind of reminds me of like the United Nations, sort of a neutral party there to help out everybody. It doesn't matter, that you could be a hub that may not be all that friendly, but, if you fit the criteria and you're just there doing your thing, unless you're out there actually attacking other people, they're willing to help you.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, I mean, I think it's a great kind of thing to have in the game. Just to have somebody out there in support, what if something happens? Well, what are you going to do?
And these are those fun elements too that I always talk about, players organizing things outside of the game to bring them into the game. And again, for anyone that's worried about PvP or anything like that, this is why we should be excited for these changes, is because with the implementation of PvP brings these people creating groups like this and exciting things. And again, I think it's something to be excited for. I know change is crazy, but look at what they've done with all these updates. Every update has made the game better. It's made the experience more fun and more open to new players as well. And I think with PvP in No Man's Sky, in No Man's Sky Next, and creating groups like this, like the UPA, it's just going to bring the community together and make it stronger. I don't think it's going to tear it apart like people thought. People think PvP means base destroying and killing people randomly and things like that. But like you say, the core base of No Man's Sky fans seem pretty knit together. And I think it's just going to make it fun and exciting for everyone, new players, old players. It's just something to look forward to, really. Yeah, it's fantastic. Everything is so fun. Being part of the cafe, it's really kind of cool because it's a neutral ground where you see all these different players, from Nerd League to hubs and nomads, nomadic players. So many different creative minds out there, and we all sort of come together and have a really good time, be it on the Aminos or whatever social media outlet they play on. I don't know about you. I've enjoyed this game for the last year and a half, and I'm looking forward to another year and a half to 4 more years of total absolutely. Enjoyment. I don't know how long it can go on, but it seems like forever. Yeah, I can't wait for this thing to be full-flown like multiplayer, just so I can build a big wall around my base and play by myself.
Yeah. Don't forget a moat.
Yeah,
Put a moat in.
yeah, put spikes on the walls, a big sign, stay out, this is mine. But I'm all for
Yeah.
the multiplayer. I'm all for the PvP. I can't wait for it. So next week we'll discuss more No Man's Sky news and expectations. There's a lot going on with the ARG as well to keep us busy. We can discuss some of that in some upcoming shows as well. But for now, we're out of time. Is there anything else you wanted to add, Deech, before we go, or?
Just have fun out there. If anybody's interested, in the UPA, just contact Lily at the link that was provided.
And join the
NMSisLife.
Yeah, we've got some great communities out there. If you look for the No Man's Sky Amino Hub, the No Man's Sky Cafe, these are good places for veterans to hang out, and it's also great for new players to get information and to make friends. It's a very social community, and we're here for you.
That's right. Both aminos have great wikis for information on the game. I know we're out of time, but there's lots to be said about those aminos. They're very good, very good. If you're interested in a game, or you're just interested in more about the game and the science of some of the things that are there, check them out. The NMS Cafe has got a great selection of really advanced knowledge in their wikis that we call the Knowledge Stones. And I can't say enough about them. They're all fantastic, tested knowledge that's proven scientifically.
Oh, that's great. All right. Well, thank you very much, and thanks everyone for tuning in. You can catch us again next Monday at the same time, and we'll be discussing more No Man's Sky Next shenanigans. So until then, everybody stay nerdy.
Till next time, y'all.